Well, first thing we're going to talk about before we jump into G1 action, this past Friday on the Rampage buy-in, we had an awesome match. We had the American Dragon Bryan Danielson taking on Murder Grandpa Minoru Suzuki in just an awesome matchup. Did you guys get a chance to check this out?
I actually did watch this match.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, man, this match was freaking incredible. Like G1 caliber, never style, intensity with the slaps and the chops. Your catch can, original strong style with the submission work as well. Just an awesome matchup here, and I hope we get to see more of these guys, or more, of Danielson wrestling guys like Suzuki in the States, and eventually, hopefully, in Japan as well. So we had a question from Rambone Slam Pigs. Which of Minoru Suzuki's recent string of matches in the U.S. have been your favorite so far? Is there anyone you are dying to see him face before he heads back to Japan?
It's a good question. I can't claim to have seen every match that he's done during this time period, just because, my viewing's been a little more infrequent lately. But on top of that, he's been pretty much everywhere wrestling, a who's who. So it's, even if you are like trying to watch everything, it's going to be really hard to keep up and kind of consume all that content. That being said, this match has got to be, for my money, the best match that he's had so far. I will say I've heard good things about the Daniel Garcia match he had. I saw some clips that looked really great, but this kind of, a lot of the Suzuki matches I've seen recently have seemed sort of like paint by numbers, kind of Suzuki on the road house show, sort of like, playing the greatest hits type of thing. And here he seemed a little bit more motivated, bigger stage, bigger opponent. And, to me, I'm not as high on this match as everyone else is, I don't think. But at the same time, both guys seem really motivated. And I just thought it was a really enjoyable encounter, just top to bottom.
Yeah, I thought it was his best match since he's been over here. I haven't watched them all either. Like you said, that's a lot to keep up with. The guy's everywhere, and he's still not done. Like he's gonna be on, he's gonna be on Impact and like going some other places, and he might show up randomly some places we don't even know about yet. But yeah, the match against Daniel Bryan was very hard hitting. It was the Daniel Bryan that we all knew existed, but hasn't been able to really come out much. And it seemed, like you said, they seem to leave some on the table to where they could possibly have another match down the road and have another great one. I feel like, just like Josh said, I think with Suzuki, it's been kind of like, house show style. Like, he's coming out and just kind of gliding off his reputation in some of the matches. I mean, they're still fun, right? But not to that level. Like even the matches against like Moxley and stuff, they're slapping each other around and everything. But this was just like another level. Who I'd want to see him wrestle as the one that we haven't gotten to see him wrestle, and we were supposed to at Spring Break. I'd like to see him, Orange Cassidy, right?
Yeah, that would be the match to make, and I'm hoping, we're heading to Dynamite this weekend in Orlando, and I'm hoping TK, he's puffing his chest out right now. Hope he's feeling a little spicy. Give us a Suzuki and an OC this weekend. Yeah,
he needs to be a little more generous.
Yeah, I'm like trying to like scour the internet. I'm like, who's on the indies that he hasn't fought, that he's not, like going to be wrestling, and I'm trying to like, see who it would be, and then
he's like been everywhere, or he's going to be everywhere. It's like impossible.
Right, and for me, I feel like the Bryan Danielson answer probably would have been my answer had it not just occurred. Right. I don't know, Jeremy. What are you thinking? Oh, you know what? I would really like for them to do a Jericho match.
Yeah, and Jericho did retweet somebody's tweet today about wrestling Suzuki, and he said, let's get it done. So, and Jericho has mentioned in the past about wanting to wrestle Suzuki. So, I mean, if Jericho will ever get back to Japan, or I mean, I guess they could do it here in the States. They could, do Jericho and Suzuki.
That does almost seem like a bigger match in Japan, though. You brought up a good point there, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know who's like, I don't know. I guess he could fight Nick Gage. I don't know.
Well, didn't he? Is that match happening? Already happening?
I thought they already had that. Or are they going to have it?
It must be happening.
I can't. Yeah, like you guys, I haven't seen any of his many of his non AEW stuff. I did see the Jonathan Gresham match, and then it's still
That
a
was
new.
okay.
Yeah, and it's still a New Japan canon. I saw the Fred Rosser match on Strong a couple weeks ago, and kind of like you were saying, Dan, with like the Fred Rosser match and the Jonathan Gresham match, it was almost kind of like the kind of get over with his aura, kind of paint by numbers. Yeah, I'll hit you with some forearms, make some goofy faces, and do some selling, and then hit you with a gotch, and then it's over. And then with the Bryan Danielson match, it's like, yeah, no, you're putting your working boots on tonight, kid. And we're we're giving these folks a heck of a match. So yeah, the Bryan Danielson match would definitely be a favorite for me. I mean, I'm trying to think, the match that he had, the Rampage no holds barred match, that was a fun match. But again,
no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say it was fun, but again, it was not on the level of the Danielson match.
The thing I was going to say is just that he's already lined up to wrestle so many of the top guys in the indies. When I sort of look at what he's doing with Bloodsport and everything like that, Chris Dickinson and the Strong tapings, it's like, it's kind of hard to find, to really hone in on someone that he hasn't wrestled. I guess if I'm thinking more about it, one guy that I think could maybe be a natural fit for him and tell a really great story and get a lot of sympathy could potentially be Darby Allin.
Oh.
Yeah. I think if you did a Darby Suzuki match, you'd get a lot of a lot of mileage out of that match. So
let's see here. So the next part of his question, next question from Dom Homie 101. He says, with Ospreay, Jay White, and Suzuki all in the States, why does it feel like Suzuki is doing more than both Ospreay and White?
It's not feels like, it is.
It is.
He's done way more than them.
Yeah, I mean,
like Ospreay's done a couple of things, but like Jay White, what is he? He's done Impact a few shows, and then Strong. Has he done anything else?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he's like just like hanging out at his house, and then like flies out for Impact.
I mean, he's Jay White. What more has he got to do?
He sold out Madison Square Garden.
He sold out Madison Square Garden single-handedly. I don't know.
He needs to bring that Neverweight title to Orlando AEW this weekend. Have a match.
The fact of the matter just remains that Suzuki has done much more on this, literally what could be described as a retirement tour, sort of deal, even though they're not calling it that. And I don't know that it is that, but that's sort of the kind of aura and presence that it carries with it. And I don't know, those guys are doing something else. Who knows? I mean, Ospreay's worked a little bit in England, and he's working MLW, and that's cool. And Jay White's done some Impact, but that's about it. I don't know.
Yeah, and not only is Suzuki doing more, he's working in the hotter places. I mean, he's working in GCW, they're red hot right now. He's working in AEW, which is obviously super red hot right now. Number one, promotion going right now, and so he's in the top places, getting the most buzz, and more gifts and more videos are going around with his matches than say a Will Ospreay strong match or a Jay White strong match.
Maybe there could be, and this might just be. I don't want to say this to besmirch anybody, because I don't think that's what it is. But where Suzuki is in his career versus where Ospreay and Jay White are in their career, totally different things. Him coming to AEW, he comes in as sort of this legend dad status sort of thing, similar to Kojima and Nagata, where it's he's probably going to win in most cases, but if he loses, he can handle the loss, and it really doesn't change his status in any way, one way or the other. Just the mere fact that he's there, mixing up with some of these bigger names is, enough for him. And, it's kind of a nice little side attraction for AEW. But with Will Ospreay and Jay White, they're arguably probably the two top gaijin talent in all of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Therefore, they're two of the top Western talents for them. But when you kind of compare them to your Codys and your Kennys and, Mox and some of these other guys in AEW, the guys that they need to be locking it up with, there's no way they would go over those guys, Jericho and them, not in AEW. And they can't necessarily come over and not interact with that kind of caliber of star. So it would maybe look bad booking wise to have them show up unless you really plan to have some sort of like talent trade where those guys get utilized in a favorable way, which I don't know that Tony Khan's looking to do that with those types of guys. So that might have something to do with it as well, you know?
Yeah, and also to follow up on the point you're making, Suzuki being that legend dad status, it's more of a kind of a hot ticket to see him live when he's here in the U.S., so there's more buzz in that way too. This kind of reminds me back in 2017 when we went to that Ring of Honor taping to see Kenny. At the time, it was like, well, you have to go because you never know when Kenny's gonna be back in the States. Like you have to watch, go watch Kenny live. You have to go meet him right now. And I think it's kind of the same thing with Suzuki. Like you don't know when Suzuki's gonna be back in the U.S. Like he's doing this crazy tour right now, but like you said, Josh, this could be a retirement tour. Maybe he never comes back. So I think a lot of people are excited about the chance to see him.
One thing I will say to that, and this might be where we differ, I don't think Suzuki has as big of a name in the States as Jay White and Will Ospreay have. I mean, I haven't like Google Trend searched it, but I can pretty much guarantee the majority of Western fans are much more aware of who those two guys are versus Minoru Suzuki. I even heard people were talking about how like his rate, like he didn't do that hot in the ratings for the few segments that he's wrestled or shown up in. So like I think that most of the Western fan base really doesn't know him that way. You know what I mean? Kind of like how Kenta didn't do so hot when he showed up in AEW as well.
Yeah, I definitely think there is a fan base who doesn't know him. When the Bryan match was announced, there were some people like, who's Minoru Suzuki, or him being announced for Impact. There were some fans kind of like being like, oh, who is this guy? So I do think there is some fan base that doesn't know him, but I definitely think there is an aura of the hardcores that are like, I have to go see him if he comes to my town because I don't know if I'll get a chance to see him again.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's nice about that though is just that one thing AEW's done well is sort of offered a little bit of something for everybody. So even if you aren't necessarily completely familiar with him, the mere fact that he's being showcased like some of these other guys in the past have, like a Nick Gage or like a Eddie Kingston when he first came in, it just kind of shows you that people are like, oh, okay, like I don't know who this is, but he must be a big deal because other people seem to be aware of him,
Right.